My friends, welcome back to the game library where we give a voice to the voiceless games. My name is Martin, and as ever, I would just like to start the stream off with a single question. Have you played any good books lately? I know that we're about to. Today, we are continuing our playthrough of The Elder Scrolls Chapter 2, Daggerfall. For those of you who have just entered after ads, Twitch was a little bit late putting ads in, so all you've missed is the intro. So welcome in everybody, I hope everybody is well today, and before we dive into some Daggerfall, let's talk about the question of the day. I feel really good about this question of the day because I feel like we're going to have a very honest and hopefully fulfilling conversation around this subject matter. So the question of the day is, new games are often accused of not having a soul. Why do you think that is? And I was watching the chat and I did see several very good answers. So I would like to read them out. Jerkops, for welcome in guys. I hope you are having an amazing day. And not to be contrarian, but I think that I'm going to have a slightly different answer than you guys, but not completely different. So, first answer, a mixture of nostalgia glasses from fans who only want their old games, and corporate greed that allows them to put out a game before it's finished. But I wouldn't put a lens on all new games. There are still some beautiful games coming out. Jerkops' answer, this may sound like a hot take, but it's 100% honest and not meant with spite. Nostalgia, jaded gamers, and revisionism. New games are no worse than old games, but they don't evoke the same nostalgic feelings as the old games do. Yet, in time, these new games will also be people's childhood favorites, and as the peak that time forgot. I would dare say that games were pushed out unfinished pretty much always, but in modern, as in 2000s and onward, environment, the devs are able to fix games in post and add back the content that ended up on the cutting room floor. Okay, my answer to the question of the day is going to agree with you guys in ways, but I think it adds its own flavor. I'm interested to see what you guys think. So, my answer is that perfectionism is a part of this equation. We have become so bloody good at what we do in the games industry that there is a level of polish that simply did not exist prior to this. And the difference between now and when a lot of the games we adore were coming out is that we have context now. It was the Wild West. When games like Resident Evil and Doom and Jedi Knights and X-Wing and IL-2 and all these classic games from various different genres were all coming out, there were developers that had done it before, but it was still very much, well, they're feeling it out just as much as we are. But now, there's a standardization that exists within the gaming industry, and I think that that standardization is creating a feeling of sameness within a lot of these games. Fidelity is so good now, and the level of realism that we are able to achieve. The control structures of these games are almost always the same as every other game. There's no flaws to really endear yourself to a game. We're fickle, us humans. There's an endearment that occurs when we suffer. And a lot of these old games This is going to make it sound like I think these old games suck, and certainly some of them do, but when you spend a lot of hours in a game, because that game has a unique control structure, has unique mechanics, has literally no other game at all that is like it, you're going to spend a lot of time in that world if you like that world, and when you are done exploring that universe, you're going to have a biased opinion, and you're going to have, as Jerkops and Fur were saying, this immense and, frankly speaking, overwhelming sense of nostalgia. And again, I think that the soullessness that a lot of gamers are citing in these games, it's not because the games are bad. It's because they're so damn good. It's because they're too good in ways. A game like Daggerfall, very imperfect, very flawed, and yet people love it. People will go to bat for this game. They will go to war for this game. But I would say that a game like Skyrim, for example, is objectively a better viewing experience. It is a better playing experience. It is perhaps a more developed and curated story. In many ways, you could argue that Skyrim is a superior game to Daggerfall, and yet we are able to have these conversations because Skyrim is almost a parody at this point because it was so damn good, but also very flawed. It's really, I would say, it was like 2018 onwards, we started getting into these highly polished products that, I don't know, they give you this sense of perfection that almost takes the wind out of your sails, because there's very little room for innovation. There's very little room where you feel like these developers can grow. A game like Baldur's Gate was actually kind of mind-blowing. A game like Clair Obscur also was fairly mind-blowing because it actually shattered that expectation and that illusion of perfectionism, because it is an illusion. As good as we are at making games now, we're still producing flawed products. So I agree with Jerkops. Hindsight is 20/20. 10 years from now, these games are going to be considered classics, as much as we rail on them and we criticize them. I feel that I used to fight bad mechanics as a kid, and now become increasingly frustrated and fault a game for even the slightest inconvenience in mechanics. Yep. You're very good at cultivating an environment that allows for a mature exchange of opinions, and I appreciate it. Even when I'm not participating and just lurking, I enjoy listening in because of that. I really hope more people find you because you're able to approach these topics with a lot of nuance. I appreciate your words, Jerkops, and I also hope for that. I also hope that we can grow this community and that I can try and put my best foot forward as a content creator. I honestly feel like the shorts I post perhaps don't do the best job because, frankly speaking, content creation thrives on contrarianism. So I have to have a hot take that someone just so happens to agree or disagree with to get engagement to grow my channel, which is really unfortunate. I would much rather grow my channel on nuanced conversations such as this, and I've started posting these segments as individual long-form posts for the stream as well. And that way, I'm hoping more people can get a sense of the kinds of conversations that we have on this channel and will hopefully feel stirred to action to join the community and hang out with us and have these conversations. Question of the day. I think pressure on devs to get games out quick, half-baked, and we don't get the intended product, and it lacks heart. However, there are still lots of new games with tons of soul. So, Jerkov's kind of mentioned this. Tarragon! Welcome in, my friend. I hope that you are doing so bloody well. I hope that you're doing amazing, man. It's so good to have you here. So good to have you here. Question of the day is at the top of chat, and as you can see, much has changed since you last spent some time here. So, Font, I would argue this. I think if you look at the development stories of a lot of older games, the tendency of publishers to push developers to release games early and to, frankly speaking, half-bake certain portions of games has always been there. I would argue it has always existed, and in great titles that we revere in this day and age, such as Halo. I loved the documentary that Bungie did, a little look behind the scenes of the development of the Halo franchise, and a big theme within Bungie's documentary is the kind of the feudal strife that they had with Microsoft. Even though Microsoft really wanted Bungie to succeed, there was an overwhelming push to release this game in, frankly, an unfinished state. And there are portions of Halo that were not completed to the standard that Bungie had set. So, again, I would argue this has always been the case, but we have a boon in today's industry, which is a hotfix. So even if a game is released kind of looking shitty, we're able to fix it. So, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. Because of the state of economics in today's age, I would agree with you that there's an increased stress for profit that, while not necessarily different, has morphed, and the people involved are feeling the fire. You know, you point out perfectionism, and it makes me realize how true that is. I'm playing Pokemon ZA, and I feel like I'm defending it with my life, because everyone wants to complain about flat textures, but I genuinely think the game is fun. One of their best in the modern day. Pokemon is a very tough one, and I count myself among those that don't really vibe with the newest Pokemon titles. It's not really my thing, and it's not because it's bad, it's because the approach over the years has changed, and the focus of Pokemon has shifted, I would say, away from consumers like me. I liked the grindiness of Pokemon. I liked the fact that I had to have social interaction with friends to collect all of my Pokemon, and it was necessary in each title. Again, these things didn't necessarily change, but the way they are presented now kind of caused this kind of strange ambivalence within me that causes me to not really vibe with those titles. And it's also my preference in terms of art style, right? I don't necessarily like that Pokemon is no longer these you know, little chibi figures that are just walking through the world in, like, shitty pixel art. Devs are forced to make safe choices instead of taking risks. This I would agree with. Following a cookie-cutter template, afraid to misstep and get hit with hate. At the same time, dialogue written is no longer inspired and is just going for a real, basic response now. The Outer Worlds comes to mind. Necro, Halagorn, welcome in, my friends. Hope you are doing well. A theme I keep seeing from documentaries in older games is that devs often had more creative freedom and were just winging it. They did something they wanted and had fewer restrictions. It was a Wild West situation. Some games made it, while a lot of others did not. I feel like AAA games are being called soulless because execs directing from the boardroom. They try to appeal to everyone for the most profit, but end up appealing to no one. So, there's a unifying theme here, and by the way guys, I would encourage you to read Fur and Jerkops' responses scrolled up in the chat. We had a very good conversation when you guys first came in, or perhaps prior to you guys coming in. Big agree, we have more options now than ever, and developers also have great choice in publishing channels, which enables indies and small, mid-size published games. So I'll repeat my point for those who first entered the chat have already heard this, but those of you who are just coming in, I'm going to repeat myself. So my answer is that there's an excess of optimization. It's not that modern games are soulless and bad, it's that they're so damn good. Now, this doesn't apply to every game. This does not apply to every game. I'm not talking about Angry Bird, for example. Shea, welcome in. I'm speaking to the games that they are good, but they put people off in a way. They cause us to have disquiet as we play them, and we can't quite put our damn finger on it. So this perfectionism is down to the fact that we can produce fidelities never before seen. We can have a standardized control structure, so there's no, like, nuance between games. If you play a first-person shooter, your control scheme is going to be the same. If you're playing an RPG, your control scheme is probably going to be the same. There's certain buttons that you're going to be pressing that are going to do certain things. So your play experience becomes a mishmash with all the other games that you're playing. And again, there's an endearment that occurs when we suffer. When you sit with a game that is flawed and you are forced to learn its mechanics and quite literally fight with the game to learn it, you're going to end up in a situation where you become so endeared to that media that you will go to war for that media. You will shout from the highest mountains that this is the best thing that you have ever experienced. And that is because you suffered with it. It's like a car that you nearly got into a car accident with, but the features of the vehicle saved you. From that point on, you are now brand loyal to that particular model of vehicle. A profound game that was amazing, but hit like a truck, was This War of Mine. No AAA dev would make that, but you can feel each moment, each hard choice, each senseless death you attach to the characters. Dude, for me, it's Ribbit Ribbit or Rabbit? I'm gonna say Ribbit because you spelled Ribbit. I had to fight with that game to even be able to beat. Yeah, a lot of these old games, they were flawed. They, in many ways, your best memories of those games are how much it sucked to play and beat. This came up when a buddy was playing Splinter Cell and how it would kind of annoy. Oh, he was kind of annoyed at having to open the door using the mouse wheel since Splinter Cell. And another buddy was saying that it was good that the game was trying out something different. The general feeling that control schemes and how things are supposed to work are standardized. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I see, Yuki. I see. And Necro's point about writing. I think I do want to touch on that point about writing. So, it's true. Fundamentally, it is true. There's nuance to it, but it is true that publishers and developers are taking the safe path. Because there's immense economic pressure to have a hit, especially when you're AAA. When you look at the profit margins that games just eke by on, it's actually insane that any game is successful. You basically have to have a worldwide hit in order for your game not just to get accolades, but to be fiscally viable. And that's why there's a lot of brilliant games like Dead Space Remake. Pardon me, I was about to say remaster. There's plenty of games that are incredible and sold very well, sold incredibly well, but because they didn't appeal to the mass market, they didn't succeed. We're not going to get a Dead Space 2 remake anytime soon. So, I agree with Necro that there's a safety in the adherence to the norm. Bowser Big Bean Burrito! What a hell of a name, good sir. I'm gonna call you Burrito, because I think that is cute. Burrito, welcome to the game library. I hope that you are having an amazing day, my friend. There's a question of the day at the top of chat. We are just catching up with the community, and the question of the day is a tradition in the stream to kind of get everyone talking about nuanced topics that I come up with in my evil little brain. Stardew Valley, one dude, all passion. All it took was handcrafting a world. Too bad AAA devs couldn't figure that out. It's not that they can't figure that out. I'm confident in saying this. I don't think it's that AAA doesn't know what to do. I think AAA knows exactly what to do. I think they know exactly what we want. How could they not? How could they not? There are echo chambers all over the internet that are shouting at them and telling them this is what the fans want. And I think that they're saying, okay, this is what we want to make. And then the person that is funding the project says, well, we can't do that because that's not going to appeal to the mass market. Even if they're wrong, because they are payrolling the project, what they say goes. Devs are often underpaid, overworked, and the biggest thing studios are looking for right now is profit. They're not looking for one target demographic or niche. They're trying to appeal to everyone. Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, it's one of the reasons that I fear for pretty much every established franchise that exists now. The pursuit of mass appeal is going to kill all of these franchises that we love that are getting remakes. I thought to myself, why do the remakes of all of these games bother me? Why do all of these remakes bother me?
This is the tale you seek.
Halgorn, thank you so much for the sub. So I asked myself, why do remakes of all of these games irritate me? And it is not because I expect a bad game or anything like that. I fear that a franchise that is prided itself on a nuance, a niche, a uniqueness, that specialness is going to be taken and it's going to be perverted and turned into something that will appeal to the wider audience. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that we're going to get good games that way. Now, we've been lucky. We've had series like the Resident Evil remakes. We've had things like... I don't think I'm going to do Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Delta, or Delta Snake Eater, pardon me. I don't think I'm going to include that because there's certain things going on in the background of that game that I don't necessarily agree with, but the Resident Evil franchise is a paragon of this. Oblivion Remastered, while it was... it had flaws. It definitely had flaws. I saw in that it wasn't necessarily going 100% to the mass market appeal. They did some microcosms of that with the change to the leveling system and stuff like that, but by and large, Oblivion is still Oblivion. Are you willing to touch on what you don't agree with Snake Eater? So it was Konami and Kojima having a schism, and
Masera.
Konami owns Metal Gear Solid. I'm totally okay with them creating a game using their own IP. They own it, but it's Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is one of those games that I really didn't feel needed a remake. I don't think that the fidelity and all the boons of modern design really benefited that game at all. I think that part of the beauty of Metal Gear Solid 3 was that it was a very quirky PlayStation 2 experience. So, is it bad? No, I don't think it is, but with Kojima being, frankly speaking, forced out of Konami and going off to do his own thing, with Metal Gear Solid 3 not really needing a remake, feeling kind of like a cash grab by Konami using the most popular title in the franchise, it's kind of, I don't know, there's a bitter taste to that one for me. So I saw that there were some sorries to Dragon, so I am going to scroll back and see what Dragon has said. I must find his first appearance. Oh, a band covered Grand Funk. Oh, was the music too loud? I lost my hearing protection on the way to a local concert. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Question of the day. I'm confident in saying that as a game... I am confident in saying that as game developers get larger, they lose a bit of what made the games popular in the first place. Again, it's all about the mass market appeal garbage, and devs are pressured a lot on this topic. Yeah. Counter question of the day. If you could have one game remade on demand, what would it be? Oh, shit. Chat, I'm gonna give this one to you guys as well. This is a brilliant question, Necro. Absolutely brilliant. Counter question of the day. If you could have one game remade on demand, what would it be? I have to go with some franchises that I feel very strongly about. So, Resident Evil Code Veronica, I feel, needs a remake in the style of Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remake. I think that a Code Veronica remake will tell one of the best stories in the entirety of the Resident Evil franchise. I think Code Veronica's story was amazing, but it was incredibly encumbered by a lot of the frustrations related to gameplay. Audie, welcome in. I hope you're having a great day. Another answer that I would go with... Remake or remaster? Necro, remake or remaster? Are we sticking... You said remade, so I assume remake. But is a remaster also on the table? Yeah, Audie, so we have definitely agreed on that, and a big theme that our conversation has had to this point is that the push hasn't really changed. It's always been there. It's always been there. But what's really changed about that push is that there's a secondary push for a mass market appeal. So you're not just having a niche game, like Halo ended up appealing to the mass market, but they didn't know that it would when they were developing the first one, for example. So Microsoft was still pushing them to release the game, because they hoped that it would be successful. But imagine if Bungie was also being told, you need to change all of this so that it appeals to a wider market. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's creating... I think this is a good way to put it. That is why we are receiving products and not pieces of art. Especially when you're in the single-player space, most games are going to be narrative-based experiences. That means the writing has to be on point. That means the art style has to be well considered and thought out. So when you are pushing a mass market appeal, you're kind of dulling all of this other stuff. It's interesting, like I'd say a remaster of Dishonored, but I don't think it needs it. It's like Portal in that some games just age well, yeah. Well, and this is another thing within the remake sphere, right? I realize that my biggest problem with remakes is not the fact they are being remade, it's that I have a fear that this tendency for mass market appeal is going to take what was once a very well-tailored experience, a niche experience even, and they're going to pervert it and turn it into this mass market appealing thing, and it becomes gross. It becomes a shell of its former self, this kind of uncomfortable skinwalker that is wearing the face of its muse. Like what Disney is doing with all its... Absolutely. Absolutely. One moment, chat. Sorry about that, chat. I was just helping, or rather, not helping Miss Books find a filter. I could go for some early Mega Man or Mega Man X games. What was the new topic? Games we'd want to see remastered? Yeah, games that you would like, if you had your druthers, what is one game that you would like to see remade, not remastered, remade. So, new assets, even a new playstyle, but same story, same core narrative. And my answer is Resident Evil Code Veronica. Resident Evil Code Veronica is a great story, and the meathead of Chris Redfield and Wesker's rivalry is really fleshed out in that game. I adored that story. I really, really did adore that story. I would say the early Hitman games for myself, people tend not to know they exist prior to stuff like WOA, I'm not even sure what that is, or Hitman Absolution. I would actually say the early Hitman games should be featured on the channel at some point. Eternal Arcade has been playing them, and they look neat. I won't say that they look like they're my cup of tea in terms of a gameplay loop, but I'm totally willing to play them. I will give anything a try. I will give anything a try. Okay, guys. I am running on fumes today. I only got 3 hours of sleep last night because, I don't know, God hates me or something. So, let's dive into Daggerfall and get some questing done. I'd die for remakes of the old LEGO games like Lego Island and Lego Loco. I wasn't even aware of those games. My intro to the LEGO games was, I believe, LEGO Star Wars. Hello there. Right, let's dive in. Spectrobes is another one that I've yet to experience. Oh, Necro, I will definitely check those out. Another question, guys. Not all of you are passionate Elder Scrolls fans, so this one is, I would say, to those of you that have played Daggerfall and that enjoy this game. So we just had Necro answer, or rather ask, an absolutely brilliant question, which is, if you had your druthers, what is one game that you would like to see remade? So, I think that this is an interesting question for Daggerfall. Because Daggerfall Unity has made Daggerfall more popular than it has ever been. This game has never been more popular. Bamboozled again. So this game has never been more popular than with Daggerfall Unity. This has really given Daggerfall a new lease on life, and everything that was kind of confounding the experience of Daggerfall really gets fixed in a big way by Daggerfall Unity. In many ways, you could consider Daggerfall Unity to be a remake. It's really more of like a remaster experience kind of thing, though. But would you like to see a Daggerfall remake in full-blown modern gamer glory? All of this that we're seeing before us right now, gone. And we get a remake of Daggerfall in the style of new Elder Scrolls like Oblivion and Morrowind. I'm not necessarily going to say Skyrim because I don't think I would like that, but Morrowind and Oblivion certainly. I think it would be interesting. I think it would be very interesting because the story of Daggerfall is incredibly fascinating. And a more curated, narrative-driven experience of this would be very fascinating. I would love to see a remake of Battlezone, which was a third-person vehicle combat RTS hybrid where USA and Soviets fought on the moon. and would build bases and units and also fight okay. So kind of a Red Alert kind of vibe. I think a Daggerfall remake is about as possible as hell freezing over, but I would be there for it. Yeah, I think I would agree. As much as I would be begrudged to relinquish this experience, because I think this is gorgeous and fantastic and lovely, I think that an actual modern remake that puts Daggerfall as a title back on the map and puts the story of Daggerfall in front of people, I think that would be very interesting. Daggerfall and Arena can't be sold anymore. They infringe on IP from D&D for the character and combat math. That's why they're free on Steam. So, I think that the unique story of the Elder Scrolls within a Daggerfall, though, I think that could be... So I think you could take that, and you could splice that onto, like, basically another game, kind of in the style of the Resident Evil remakes type thing, where, you know, you've got very little gameplay-wise to do with your source material, but the essence and the story is still there and being earnestly attempted. I almost went for Myth: The Fallen Lords, because damn, I love the Myth series, but I really want a high-definition remaster with good modern resolutions, etc., but music, voice acting, graphical style untouched. Okay, now... I'm still paying attention, chat, but I am going to... start rolling through this dungeon and see what we can find. Very powerful. I need to watch Venom before I have to return it. Return it? Return it? Where'd you rent from? Bobbing and weaving, chat. Bobbing and weaving. I wouldn't even mind playing the OGs, but the Myth games are so damn hard to get to run on modern operating systems. Yeah. That is... I encountered that with... It was actually the version of the game. It was actually the version of the game that I... Okay. Interesting. So it was actually the version of the game that I was playing. But... Lionheart Legacy of the Crusader was one game. I'm a librarian, I still didn't even think it. Well, you're in the right place. Okay. I think this game qualifies as a source port, which is neither a remaster or a remake. Third category of software update. Since the main menu goes so far as to ask if you want to keep the bugs, yeah. But that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm not saying, you know, Daggerfall Unity. I'm saying the story of Daggerfall basically gets put into... Hello. Goodbye. Gets basically put into an entire new game structure with, you know, a more Elder Scrolls kind of level design and... Because as you say, this is kind of very D&D. I ask you an interesting question. How much of Oblivion would exist without Daggerfall? They're both the games in the series in which they have very knightly medieval sort of feeling. So, what Dragon is alluding to is the fact that I say there is no Morrowind without Daggerfall. And I I chalk that up to the fact that the development of Morrowind has so much in it that lends itself to either the mechanics or the writing or just the general intent that Daggerfall had initially. Not execution, intent. I need to specify that. We're talking intent here. So, I actually posted a short just today about the political kind of scheming and the Game of Thronesiness of Daggerfall, and the fact that the great houses and such within Morrowind kind of lend themselves to that kind of writing style. Oblivion is a weird one. Oblivion is not alien in the way that Morrowind is. It's fanciful. Everything in Oblivion lends itself to this kind of feeling of being in this kind of fey realm where everything is watercolor and soft textures and unserious, almost. A lot of the writing in Oblivion has very serious themes, but you're never feeling this oppressive sense of duty and seriousness that you get in games like Daggerfall and Morrowind. You really don't get that in Skyrim either, but I could see someone saying that they do. So, Oblivion, I think Oblivion is the one game in the Elder Scrolls that is a profound departure from themes that Daggerfall injected into the world. And, oh look, a literal king of hell is invading the world, let's fuck off and do side quests. I mean, honestly, and even in Skyrim, right? The doomsayer of the dragons has arrived, and now I'm going to join the Thieves Guild instead of fighting him. Even though I'm the one person in the universe that can defeat him. There's a grandiosity there that is... It kind of parodies itself when you end up doing all these side quests and avoiding that very serious thing. Within Daggerfall, there's a lot of political intrigue, but you could argue that the world is not going to end if you don't find out the cause of King Lysandas's ghost. There might be some political strife, there might be some wars, but aren't there always? Within Morrowind, there is an existential threat, but you don't know that for probably half the game. And only at the end do you realize the big reveal that there is this existential threat in the form of Daggerfall, and you are the chosen one that can defeat him. Oblivion and Skyrim are major shifts away from that kind of more grounded idea. Oblivion and Skyrim allow you to be grounded, but the reason for being in the world and your character, Oblivion didn't do this, you're not the chosen one in Oblivion, but you still end up in this very serious scenario where you kind of end up being the most important guy anyways, which, of course, RPG. But within Morrowind and Daggerfall, I have never once felt important in Daggerfall. I've never once felt in Daggerfall that the world would not just keep on going without me. There was also a heavy divide between Morrowind and Oblivion where the game changed to suit the writing because it was dependent on emotional payoffs instead of the more complex world of Morrowind. No more teleportation, no more freeform questing with multiple paths and guilds. Absolutely. Even in Morrowind, your character quite literally is pushing against the grain of their destiny by taking out Daggerfall. due to him being the greater of evils between him and the tribunal. Yeah. Yeah. But all this comes down to, do I think there would be an Oblivion without Daggerfall? I have to say yeah. I have to say no, there would be no Oblivion without Daggerfall, because Daggerfall laid the groundwork. And Morrowind really became the paragon of the Elder Scrolls. So, if there is no Morrowind without Daggerfall, there is no any Elder Scrolls without Daggerfall. It's kind of a cheap answer, but it is true, ultimately. But then you can kind of get into the weeds like we just did, and talk about the finer details, and realize that modern day Elder Scrolls is really a shadow of what games like Morrowind and Daggerfall set out to do. By the way, I love Oblivion, I love Skyrim, I love the Elder Scrolls, but to love something blindly is to do it a disservice. You need to realize the flaws. You need to realize the flaws, or you're going to get a divorce. So I have recognized the flaws of the Elder Scrolls, and therefore I'm able to remain happily married. There's also Kais Kasades telling you to go explore before starting the main quest earnest. Open world games need off-ramps to engage with the wider world. Can't do that with a hurried story. Yep, absolutely. So we do have a path down here and here. Okay, so this dungeon is a lot to explore. I recall Dragon saying early on in our invasion of this castle, our very stealthy invasion of this castle, that we need to go down, essentially as far as we can, and then we will acquire the item we are seeking. So, I'm seeing a lot of paths up, and I'm seeing very few paths down, and most of the paths down appear to go into water. So, I'm going to make my way up this bridge here, and then see what happens. Also, chat, thank you so much for the positive vibes and the good conversation, the stimulating conversation. As I mentioned, I'm incredibly tired today and would be falling asleep if it was not for you guys. So I thank you for being here. I thank you for everything you do. Okay, so it's basically a spider's web, and I need to figure my way around. Okay, I think we are in good shape. And I understand this is not the optimal way to do this. We are getting literally no leveling benefit other than when we use our restoration magic. I understand. I'm having fun. It's all about the lulz, chat. All about my lulz. I think let's make our way to the murky here. As much as my thalassophobia makes me not want to do that. Okay, we do go this way. Alright. There. I must go this way. clearly been here before. Just follow the corpses. I've not been over here yet. Okay, promising. I think Mass Effect was the first game to do that well. Shepard is an existing character, you get choices, but not any choice you can think of. I think that, and you could disagree with me, chat, but I think the BioWare RPGs are some, and by BioWare RPGs, I mean specifically Mass Effect 1 through 3 and Dragon Age Origins. Those RPGs were absolutely, I don't want to call them flawless, but I have such fond memories of them that the temptation is there to do so. Reversible tunic, alright. All that to say, they did a damn good job. They did a damn good job. Which makes the fact that BioWare is such a shell of its former self all the more shameful. Okay. So this wants to take me back up. So let's stay in the dark. The depths, if you will. Holy crap. I won't say Mass Effect is perfect, but it does emphasize its strengths and minimize its flaws, which is about all you can ask for. Procedural generation of planet surface, for example. Yeah, Mass Effect 1, the Mako journeys were not my favorite. Okay. This might be... Yeah, we're in a loop here. So I guess let's make our way up. Take the spell sword down. I'm going to get over encumbered from all this gold. That is going to be a problem. Okay. Oh! Hello. Also, I love that I pacified a rogue using my streetwise skill when I'm Cyvaris II and I have no street smarts at all. So this loops around. Okay. Ooh. Have not been here. It's true. Okay, let's rest until fully healed. This spits us back out over here. Okay. That's a dead end. Good. I say good, and I mean it. Dead ends really... Anything you can do to flesh out the map more is a good thing in my mind. Welcome back from ads, guys. Thank you for your patience. We are still incredibly lost, but we are making some headway. We are making some headway. Let's rock some troll's blood. Now, has this tied us back in? It did. Okay. So let's head over here, because we haven't figured that bit out yet. Okay. So I'm thinking most of this loops in on itself. So it's not like I'm going to be getting loads out of this. Yeah, and we are looped all the way back around. Okay. I think there is... yeah, dead end. So this is the main castle, and we're all the way over here. It's turned into a real cluster F of a dungeon. We didn't really explore this area much, so I'm thinking what I'm wanting to do is let's go from where we are here. We'll wrap up this area, obviously, but then we need to double back into this, the entrance auto marks. So there you go, right there. I can add markers as well. Points of interest and everything, I can add markers, but it doesn't really guide me to the markers. I still have to open up the map and interact rather heavily with it. Oh, I see. I see. I did get the recall spell. So we have the true Baron's Eye as opposed to the real Baron's Eye. That I can't remember. That I cannot recall if I did or not. I think yes, but I cannot guarantee yes. Okay, now... make our way forward here. Yes, okay, now we're back in these corridors. We do have some more over here. Yeah. Don't think this is going to behoove me any. But it might yet. I really enjoy Morrowind magic. I think it has the best version of any... I agree. I agree. Morrowind has far and away the most customizability. Absolutely. Okay, now we've okay. Now we've cycled back to the big dungeon. Okay, that ties the bridge. The overpass in. Oh, hello. Yeah, the sheer customizability of Morrowind's magic is kind of second to none. Not just within the franchise, by the way, just any game that has magic, period, needs to take notes from Morrowind. The freedom that they give you is immense. It's absolutely immense. This might be my least... yeah. Any Daggerfall dungeon that's just insanely large just gets people's goat. But luckily, this is one of those dungeons that I think is the same. Yorm, welcome in. Hope you're having a good day, my friend. Pardon me if I lack enthusiasm. I am operating on 3 hours of sleep. So I am a very tired books. Alright. That's a weird... Bogu, welcome in, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Yes, today is Daggerfall Day. We play Daggerfall on Mondays. Morrowind is on Fridays, but that's going to be wrapping up soon, and we're going to start The Witcher 1. And... Saturday. Sorry, I'm on 3 hours of sleep right now. Saturday is Baldur's Gate Day. We stream a variety of games, and we are good at none of them, unlike you, who streams a very specific sector of game and becomes extremely competent at it. I see you. I see you. Or I should say I see you now. Yes, we were actually just talking about Daggerfall being incredibly inspired by Dungeons & Dragons. Going. Where am I going? I might just go over here and levitate, honestly. Which is what I'm going to do. I believe I can fly. Ooh. I get more than one. Oh, dear God. Okay. Bogu, have you ever played Daggerfall? I see you play Baldur's Gate so often that I don't actually know what other games you enjoy. So, perhaps that is a question for you specifically. What kind of games do you enjoy? Or what specific titles do you enjoy? Also, I'd be very interested as to your answer to question of the day. So I'm up the gamer stream without a paddle due to the fact my graphics card took a dookie on me. And from what I can tell, similar to a slightly... What was your graphics card? The size of Daggerfall always drove you off. This is an interesting thing to consider, Bogu. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. Scope being something that turns someone off of a game. Of late, I've found myself really enjoying kind of smaller experiences. Games that I can finish in say, 4 hours of gameplay. But they have a replayable loop of gameplay, so I can beat the game, come back, beat it again, but even better, come back, beat it again, but even better. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. I played a couple of hours of Skyrim and didn't like it much. I'm curious to try Morrowind someday. I'm so mad neither Twitch nor Discord gave me the notification. P.S. Also hi. Am I? No way. Oh dear. Alright. Well, let's change that. I did change it. Okay, my title stayed the same. Alright. It's been changed. It's been changed. Thank you for that, and I just now realized Bogu was probably warning me about that as well. Alright. We're okay, chat. We're okay. I was so angry I typoed. We do have a room here. So, back to my point, Bogu. Scope being something that turns you off a game. I definitely don't disagree that the size of Daggerfall can be a turnoff. In fact, as a younger, less hairy me, I was turned off of Daggerfall for the same reason. This game is a lot. The maps, pretty much everything except the quest in this game, the main quest I should say, is just immense in its scope. And it's equal parts awe-inspiring and daunting to the point that you don't even want to start. I'm glad I did. I enjoy this game immensely, I really, really do. But I can 100%, without reservation, understand the perspective of the people who say, I'm good. Dev, the past hour has been a conversation on the question of the day and trying to figure out this cluster F of map. Literally just dungeoneering. Literally just dungeoneering. If I was single, I'd play Daggerfall. Oh dear, oh no. What is the rabbit hole, Cheo? Do we want to know? It is daggerfalling, yes, daggerfalling. But, Bogo, I don't know if you're still here. That's one of the reasons I do play Daggerfall. I want to be able to show this experience. She's just hanging out. That black blob is her. I want people to be able to experience Daggerfall without necessarily... I would like you to play the game, but if you're not going to play the game, I at least want to provide content online for the game that shows the experience and maybe doesn't 100% encapsulate the experience of the game, but gives an earnest try. Question of the day answer from Bogu. It's a mixture of game development being more expensive, changed expectations of players who don't really know what they want, increasing competition, and game development being too professional for their own good, at times, from a business standpoint. My answer, and I think you're a very nuanced thinker, Bogu, from hanging out in your stream, so I will say this. My answer is in agreeance, but perhaps with some divergence. So, I think that perfectionism plays a pretty massive role in the problem of games feeling soulless these days. So, I think the problem isn't that games are soulless and bad. I think that the problem is ultimately that we're getting so good at creating cohesion within the experience of a game that we're not really getting differences between games, right? You have control schemes that are ultimately the same across any shooter, any RPG. You're getting fidelities that are focusing more on realism than art style, so the waters are getting very muddied. I'm speaking from a AAA perspective, by the way. Indie is a completely different animal. So this perfection that we're receiving is creating this just cohesive mess that prevents us from really being able to tell the difference between one title or another, but I actually listened to the conversation and people pointed out a lack of taking risks, for example, and I agree, but also understand the approach from a business. Absolutely. And this is an important thing, actually. From a business standpoint, they're doing the right thing. They're protecting their assets, they're playing it safe, they're not taking big swings to preserve the business model. But unfortunately, gaming, or rather games production, is an art form that really, really rewards big swings and experiences that you don't necessarily know will take off. Clair Obscur is a great example. Nobody really wanted to bet on Clair Obscur, and then it came out, and the masses flocked to it for various different reasons. And now we have, I expect that Clair Obscur is going to breed a mimicry, the same way Dark Souls bred the Soulsborne genre, and BioWare really foster those character-driven RPGs in the same way that, well, they don't really do that anymore, sad face, but they inspired generations of developers that do still do that thing. Looking at you, Larian Studios. Some video game genres are very not friendly to indie studio. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think competitive shooters, for example, it would be very hard for an indie studio to really break in to that space. It's almost exclusively owned by AAA. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's hard. I have to find the YouTube video, a writer talking about how the downturn in all writing, not just books or video games, coincides with whole language reading instruction. It's done a lot of damage. I think I've seen that video. Day Hiker. So, it is the idea that the changes in the education system have fundamentally shifted the thought process of certain demographics within our society, and we're now getting to a point where we don't want these, and I'm saying we as a gross generalization, but we don't necessarily want these nuanced and grandiose and deep stories. We want go fast, make boom, simple to understand. Warped, welcome in. Games used to be made by nerds for nerds. Most AAA games today are made solely to make money instead of being made by nerds with passion. And again, I strain at that. I don't think the developers want to put out bad products, and I think the developers, at the end of the day, are gamers. I think that they understand what the masses want. It's really the business model that is not permitting that from taking place. I don't know about many people following the steps of Expedition 33, because from what I gathered, it would be extremely difficult to recreate what made it successful, the art direction. And the longer I thought about it, which wasn't very long, is that the art part is what makes games memorable, replayable, and alive after decades. Okay. You've touched on something that I very much enjoy talking about, which is the art form of game development. The fact that games, unless we're talking about Angry Birds, are art. Suffice it to say, I agree. I agree that it is art that makes games memorable. And I have several examples. We were talking about this during the Baldur's Gate stream, actually, where fidelity of the game doesn't necessarily matter when a very clear artistry was imposed within the game. The reason Baldur's Gate 1 is beautiful to this day is because they had a very specific thing in mind. When you have a pre-drawn background that you impose your 3D models on top of, you have to be very deliberate. You have to be very intentional with the art that you are putting into those environments. Every tree, every hill has to be done with care. You see this also in franchises like early Final Fantasy 7, 6, so on and so forth. There was a very deliberate emotion that is evoked from a lot of the environments in a lot of these games, and it causes them to age very gracefully, in spite of the fact that, fidelity-wise, they are grossly inferior to what we can do today. And Clair Obscur, as you said, Bogu, is a game that, because it has such a deliberate artistry to it, it has such a deliberate aesthetic and direction, it will stand the test of time. And games that do the same will also stand the test of time. It's a truism, right? We're stating the obvious here. I'm not breaking any new ground by saying any of this, but I think that in spite of that, it is something that is kind of being ignored. It's not being forgotten, it's being ignored because it's hard to do. Being deliberate is an effort. And I think that a big part of the issue of modern games feeling soulless is that the effort is being outsourced to things that are soulless, like AI. And AI can't create, it can only take input and source from multiple different locations. It can make beauty insofar as it can pull from what humans think is beautiful. But the more we get into this kind of, we want the maximum amount of output for the minimum amount of input situation. Art is all about intentionality and taking your time. You take your time when you write. You take your time when you paint. You take your time when you draw. You take your time when you consume the art, when you read, when you look at a painting, when you listen to music. So the art form of game design is antithetical to the optimization of game development. I think that is a good way to put it. But if you want your game to have soul, and if you want your game to age, to be immortal, to live rent-free in people's heads, it needs to be a piece of art. I don't think AI made any significant input in making games aside from speeding up lazy remasters like Warcraft 100%, but that doesn't stop them from trying. And you see a lot of these large companies doing just that. They're trying really, really hard to give AI a role in game development. For better or worse. For better or worse. Because AI is a tool. It is a tool. And there are things that it can do for us. But I think that we're taking it in the wrong direction. There is also the broad appeal problem. A game for everyone is a game for no one. 100%. When everybody's super, nobody will be. Name the movie, chat, and we can be friends. Alright, I am officially overloaded with gold. I cannot carry anymore. Speaking of lovely hand-drawn backgrounds, anyone remember the old Sierra and LucasArts point-and-click adventure games? Vaguely, yes. I do remember them, but vaguely. My LucasArts experiences, I played a lot of Star Wars. Jedi Knight, Dark Forces, all that good stuff. What was the Day of the Tentacle? I think that was LucasArts. The Indiana Jones games. Played those a lot. I don't think there is anything I can drop. I might have to leave the gold, chat. As much as it pains me. Speaking of which... save my damn game! I do love how we always end up having these conversations during Daggerfall. I don't know what it is about playing this game with you guys. We just have the best conversations playing this game. We have good conversations playing Morrowind and such, but it's different when we play Daggerfall. When it comes to soullessness, people compare games from today to games from decades ago that stood the test of time, which just isn't fair. I would agree. I would concur with that point. Now, when we're talking about the 7th Call of Duty Black Ops, I think it's a fair criticism. I do. But when we're talking about Clair Obscur, when we're talking about Hollow Knight and Silksong, those are games that are immediately apparent as pieces of art. But as any retro gamer can tell you, there's a lot of gold in the past that wasn't popular. There's a lot of games that are very good, very competent experiences that really never made it to that zenith that A Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time did. But they're still there. And that's kind of what my channel is devoted to conceptually, is the idea of voiceless games these amazing experiences that are getting lost to time, whether they were popular at the time and are becoming unpopular or have become unpopular, or games that never got the chance to be popular in the first place. Those are the games I want to play. Those are the games I want to share with the world. And I think that the growth of my channel being as quick as it has been is kind of a testament to the fact that people want to see games like that. Now, of course, there are games that are kind of on the cusp of that definition, like Morrowind, for example. But frankly speaking, guys, I do have to grow the channel. I do have to get to an audience that has a bit of a wider appeal. So we do have games like Baldur's Gate and Morrowind on the channel that I would argue are still accomplishing the mission, right? Because it allows me to reach those audiences. And generally, if you're watching Morrowind or Baldur's Gate, you do like retro games. You do like voiceless games. So there's not a stretch to bring you to a game like Daggerfall or Siege of Avalon, so on and so forth. Other thing that I feel got in the way of strong art directions at times, lifting of hardware restriction, which made developers overcome them in creative ways in the pursuit of realism. I was having a very good conversation about Metal Gear Solid 3 with Addy from Addy Again. And we were talking about how part of what made the original Metal Gear Solid 3 so good is because it fought to overcome the limitations of the PlayStation 2. There's a lot of inventiveness that takes place when your hardware is just very limiting. There's certain things you just can't render. There's aspects of the universe that you simply can't show. But as you say, Bogu, it causes you to get very, very inventive. And that kind of lends itself to some art direction and inventive ways of showing what you want to show. This is why the technical problems with Unreal Engine 5 are so disastrous. The engine should be doing the heavy lifting, so the studio can focus on art and gameplay, but without a hardware team, the game will run like ass. I will defer to more experienced persons with regards to hardware and software. I am not a tech guy at all. I am in gaming for the art. I am here for the art chat. So, writing direction, art direction, gameplay itself, we can talk until I'm blue in the face. But when it comes to hardware, you're going to have to nurse me along a little bit. Okay, now I think we have to make our way. So I'm all the way over here. So I think I've got to make my way over this way again. Gentlemen! Just standing there looking at me. He's just slain all my knights. What a pig. Okay. Ooh. Hello. Hello. Levitation. They have really good maids to clean up the bodies. Can't even pick up the gold anymore. I quit, chat. Oh, Castle Wayrest. What are we doing here again? The painting. We have to get the painting for Queen Okrithi. Well then. I must say, your sanitation has something to be desired, everybody. I've seen your larder. They did, they ate the donkey. Okay, now... where do I want to be? Okay, so we need to head over this way. Yes, okay. Actually, speaking of which... Okay, so this water seems to be the lowest point that I've found thus far. Okay, there is more up that way. Okay, so I'll make my way down. Water should be right here. Okay, chat. Going in. It's fine, I have underwater fireballs. I swear to God, if the painting is down here, I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay, that's just gold. More gold. Man, I was really hoping that would be something more. It may or may not be here. Let's see if you lose your mind. Do you want me to lose my mind, Dragon? Is that something you would like? Underwater Fireballs would be a great dungeon synth band name. Somebody make it happen. Somebody in the chat make it happen so we can live vicariously through you. Underwater Fireballs, I expect your first album very soon. I'm an amazing thorn in the ass when you are. It's fine, you're my thorn in the ass. Let's think about this for a sec. Okay, so Dragon said it is in the lower echelons of the castle. Now, it would appear to me that I've been to many, not all, but many, of the lower points of the castle. I'm not saying all, because I can never be confident of that with Daggerfall. But I see a lot of areas here that do not... Ooh. Oh no, that's dead end. Do not appear to have anything new to them. Okay, if anyone is feeling generous, I would be willing to get a hint at this juncture. Ooh, 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 ooh. Nothing. Nothing! Okay, so that's just a loop around. Okay. Unless the painting is literally, like, in the throne room. We do have some areas over here that I've yet to explore. This pit. Let's make our way... Well, seeing as how you and Dragon both said teleporter, I'm going to say yes. That would count as a hint. Okay, so... Ooh. Oh, have I not explored this yet? I have not. I have not. Okay. So give me hallway. No teleporter. The thing with teleporters in this game, too, is that they are so... just... difficult to even notice. This movie is, this shit is heist-level movie bullshit? Okay. So, most of the teleporter rooms that I've encountered up to this point have been around stuff like this. So they've been around like coffins and bookshelves and chairs and that sort of thing. Pardon me. Let's make our way over here. I did see an area I haven't been to yet. Okay, and you said at the base of the dungeon pretty well. At the base of the dungeon pretty well. Okay, I don't want to be here. Let's go this way. Me and the Queen have to have a word. Why was this size of castle necessary? I understand screw the rules, I have money, but this is ridiculous. I think there are 3 unique teleporters you have to pass through before getting to the painting. As I said up above, me and Dev are okay with you using Q item when it comes down to it. Oh, I see. Gotcha. I'd like my anchor to be right here. My personal belief is that technical limitations on the developer side very rarely result in the sort of creativity that benefits the play experience and mainly hampers developers. One prominent example for me is Tenchu 2, where the developers draw... Sorry, I lost you there. Where the developers wanted to make a ninja game with the open maps where you can decide your approach, but the technical limitations of the console make the draw distance so bad it hampers the play experience. I'm not saying that I am glad when technical limitations exist. I'm saying that the innovations that result from those technical limitations and the art that tends to get made as a result of them to get around those limitations, it's cool. It's not necessarily good, but it's very, very neat that developers innovate in that way. What do you think, chat? Do we think I should just teleport to the item? Do we think I should do that? I could still backtrack from there, but... Mushini! Tenchu mentioned, love those games. Welcome in, my friend, I hope you're having a good day. Yes, Jerkops is a big Tenchu fan. I have not played most of the Tenchu series. And the one Tenchu game that I did play, I think it was 2. I think I only played that with a buddy when I was very young. Very young. I barely have memories of the game. Remember, it's always up to you to decide if Daggerfall is respecting your time at any given moment. This is the only time I think using that console command is justified personally. Okay. Alright. So, we are... That got auto-modded? Okay. That's a stretch. So, tele... 2Q item. I have to specify the item name, right? I do have to specify the item name? No, I just do this? Okay. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Alright, well, I can see why you told me to just teleport right to the item. I can see why you did that. Right, we have the painting, chat. Painting has been acquired. I cannot carry any more gold. Damn it. Right, I don't think I have enough magicka to get out of here either. I do have a recall point. I just want to explore this area a little bit. I want to look around. Redneck Rampage faked lighting effects by drawing them on textures of walls, etc. But they put a lot of effort into those textures. It almost looks like they have real lighting. Oh, hello. Don't worry, you'll get your turn. I mean, it's doable, but dumb. If you'd like, now that you know the area, try again on your save. Well, first of all... we'll do a separate save. Do a separate save. Oh shit. See if I can rest. I can. Well, and Dev, I know it's doable because those who came before me have done it. My betas have accomplished the mission. But I would like to do a little bit of exploring. So I imagine there's some backtracking that has to take place to find the teleporter. Oh. Oh, didn't want to press that. I'll press this. Queen Baron's didn't have to humble brag with this large of a dungeon? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, ads are coming in 5 minutes, guys. Just as a fair warning, I will be availing myself of an ad break to stretch. My chair is getting pretty crappy, and
the audacity of this bitch.
It's starting to not do my back any favors, so I do need to get up every couple hours just Also, I highly recommend adding on Archaeologist Guilds, which actually does incorporate locator device items for when you've already explored a majority. Oh, I see, okay. Just makes it that little bit more quality of life-y. There's so much gold I'm missing out on. This sucks. This sucks. Okay, so we do have this one more door. Okay, so we can make our way down this way. Oh, Halagorn, Daggerfall's dungeons are infamously large. In fact, on Daggerfall Unity, one of the best options they gave you for this game was to reduce the size of the dungeons. They take a long time. Oh no, Yorm, your messages are going through. Chat's just going a little quick right now. If I ever miss your messages, guys, do not hesitate to repost. And do not hesitate to tell me it's a repost. I try my best to keep up, but it's hard. Especially when chat's moving quick. Oh, are you on mobile right now? That might be why. That looks confusing even with the map. It is. It is. I will not sit here and make excuses for Daggerfall. The maps are exceedingly confusing. I am a glutton for punishment, so I just so happen to enjoy it. Let's do this. Let's give recall. Let's give recall a quick key. But what? Let's do... no clocks? Nothing like that? We'll do this. We shall do this. Recall shall be hotkey number 9. Probably auto-mod getting, yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome, Yorm. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was personally looking into the Hayworth Fern. It's very expensive, but I was told that it's one of those chairs that you buy once, and you don't really have to buy... you don't have to buy the chair again. I posed the question of the day to my wife, and she had answers I haven't heard yet. Length and difficulty. Older games tended to be shorter, with more intense difficulty, making them more intense, but not outstaying their welcome. Day Hiker, I like your wife. Excellent answer. Excellent answer. I've often thought about this myself. Within the scope of modern games, I would say that a lot of modern games... Oh, we have ads. We have ads. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to talk about this. Okay, I will take my ad break, and then I'm gonna hop back in, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit more. I will see you after the ads. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to collect foreskin for Daggerfall. Vivek mole-egged his ball. So much so that it made history. They wrote a book about it. The entire sermon is a prolonged allegory about post-nut Claire. No, I can't. I can't do it. Oh, wait. You wanna know the best part about the Hist? Their entire existence is a pun. They're arboreal appearing entities that exist outside of space-time. They see all the timeline, forward and backward. They're Hist trees. God damn it. You want more? You just saw your buddies get killed, man. Did he grabbed my arrow. Guys.
早上好，中国，现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，但是速度与激情9比，冰淇淋速度与激情9，我最喜欢。所以现在是音乐时间，准备1、2、3，2个礼拜以后，速度与激情9 Action 3，不要忘记，不要错，国际的去电影院看速度与激情9，因为非常好，电影动作非常好，差不多一样。冰淇淋再见。
Come at me, scrub lords, I'm ripped. Okay.
Don't listen to the Elder Scrolls lore wiki Nerevar. Gnomes are very real.
Fuck! Very long time, the boreworms can get on top of you in a pretty big way. Cheers, fellas. They don't want the smoke. Oh my god. All right, well, let's go, buddy. It's okay. We're fine. It's fine. I am not a sociopath with a long history of violence. Oh, little secret area. Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel. Oh, God. Sir, your skin. This is why we tell you to wear sunscreen. SPF 60, minimum. Guy needed SPF 1000 after the trip from Red Mountain. Certainly looks like that. Necro's last words, a guy with a beautiful voice. He makes me melt. Ooh, woo. Ooh, woo. No, we need more. I need more. Chat, I need more cowbell. Lead them to Balmora?
All right, that's enough of that kind of stuff. The mod author knows this is a complete tone shift, but just felt like it was important for you to hear. Let's get back to sex jokes and fantasy racism.
Welcome back from ads, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. I see that Dragon has once again ran out of Verners, and he is scrambled like eggs, as he says. Have a Verners, Dragon. All will be fine. All will be fine. Okay, now, I kind of lost the momentum with the point, so I'm going to try and re-attain it. So, Day Hiker's spouse made an excellent point, and that is the length of games have also changed, and that is what lends to modern games feeling quote-unquote soulless. Again, this does lend itself to the endearment value of when a game is short but difficult, you spend a lot of time with the game because the barrier to entry is very small. The game is only a couple hours long, say. So you spend a lot of time with it, and you become endeared to the difficulty. And that is the soul of the game, as well as the art style. But then you've also got the fact that modern games... I feel like modern, especially narrative-driven games like RPGs and stuff, they're more like movies than they are like games. And this is the thing with a video game, right? It is interactive. It is meant to be played. When most of your game is spent in cutscenes and just taking in story without actually having to interact with any of the mechanics of the game, insofar that there are any, you end up in a situation where you don't, because you are not interacting with the game physically vis-a-vis the controls and the mechanics, you're not connecting with the game in the same way that you would connect with an old game. You're not going to have your heart rate elevate as you have a really difficult boss fight, so on and so forth. Again, generalized, this is not all games, but there's a lot of newer games that focus a lot more on the cinematic value of storytelling rather than the interactive value of storytelling within a video game. We need to realize something, and I think everybody in this chat does know this, but for the sake of anybody who's not speaking or anything like that, there's something that we as gamers need to realize. When you are talking about a narrative journey within a video game, you're talking about something that I want to be involved in, not something I want to bear witness to. I want my choices to feel like they matter. I want my interactions with the game world to feel like they matter. And when I'm watching a movie, I am not making any choices within the context of that game. Even in games like Halo, which were very cinematic experiences, I would argue, during their cutscenes, you felt like what you were doing as Master Chief was kind of causing those cutscenes, in a sense. You're not necessarily trying to give choice, you're trying to give the illusion of choice, you're trying to give the illusion of agency within your video game. And that's kind of something, the illusion, we know so much about video games now, we know so much about the experience, that illusion has kind of been dissipated. The mist is now gone, and we can see in full fidelity what is going on behind the scenes, and that knowing causes us to lack that wonderment that we had as children. Games also don't lean on mechanics for storytelling like they used to. The Telvanni make you levitate to talk to them. You don't belong if you can't. The Sijic monks in Skyrim do very little and talk a lot of nonsense. Yeah. The Morrowind is a masterclass on narrative mechanics within games. There's a lot of the world of Morrowind that you must interact with in order to glean story. It is not spoon-fed to you. You must interact with the world to get the story. It is not optional. There's no cheat, unless you count a console command, but there's an emphasis on interaction with the game world to get what you want from the game. And that is why Morrowind is my favorite game in the Elder Scrolls franchise. That is why it is still #1 for me. Because it is the best at that one particular thing. We have the painting. I'm out of here, folks. Cheers, fella. I'm, sorry about the mess. Fare thee well, Queen Baronzaya. Okay, now let us save our game. You'll be back to kill more of her mercenaries. Okay, gotcha. Actually, there's another question stemming from Day Hiker's question. What is a game where you feel like the mechanics get leaned on for the storytelling? What is kind of the paragon of that trend? So what, to put it concisely, what is a game that you feel a lot of the storytelling is done through the game's mechanics? And what do you feel is the game that is the paragon of that? I must say, and to be fair, my gaming knowledge is limited, and I have my biases. I would say Morrowind. The Bank of Wayreth. Damn it. We shall loiter for a wee bit. Oh, now we're proper nighttime. I've been poisoned? What? What is this horse shit? Alright, where's my cure poison? There it is. Alright, fine, we'll find an inn. We'll go to the Beaver and Giant. Did someone say horseshit? I did.
Road is long and troubled, and we need
Chat,
to
you know what to
ride
do.
away. So now we mount our mighty steed to gallop down the way. With strength and fervor present, his mane flowing in the wind. Cerberus climbs atop him, a new journey now begins.
Hey!
Yambate Cranberry, the greatest horse you'll ever see. Galloping with speed and might, now sing along with great delight. Yambate Cranberry,
Clippity, cloppity.
clip. Yambate Cranberry leads us on this trip.
Shadow of the Colossus, minimal story, but your mechanics killing giants create emotional weight. Each victory feels like a loss on purpose. I had such a hard time playing that game, Yorm, for that exact reason. For that exact reason. Excellent answer, my friend. Excellent answer. I agree. Actually, I just saw Yaze's name. Welcome in, by the way, Yaze. I actually have another answer. So, it's a puzzle game. And I think that it fits the bill of my description of a game that uses its mechanics in order to tell you its story. And that is Myst. It's kind of the whole shtick of the game, actually. You could lump Blueprints in there as well, I would say. Right, perfect. We have unencumbered ourselves. Now we must abscond to the Kingdom of Sentinel. I won't say it's a paragon, but Doom 2016 occurs to me as this being what separates it from the latter entries. Everyone else is trying to tell their own stories, but Doom Guy, he is a man of action. I like that answer. I am not well. Okay, so we have cure disease as well. You are not well and may not survive the extended period of travel. Do you still wish to continue? Interesting. Half-Life in the Portal series is told through the mechanics, and you, as a silent protagonist, experience the story happening around you through the use of those mechanics, whether it's traversing through the world or level, using the weapons like the gravity gun and the portal gun as pivotal points to their respective stories. Well, I didn't get the cutscene for lycanthropy, so I'm not certain. How do I know if I'm diseased? It's probably my character. Yep. Afflictions. Oh no, that's affiliation. Pardon me. Pardon me. Where did I see about my diseases? I thought about Portal, but I think that's more environmental storytelling. That's fair. That is fair. Hello, Quinn. How are you? Hi. You had food. Hey, what you harassing me for? Status key will show if medical or skill roll diagnose. Okay. You are on Wayrest. It is the 10:30 on Mondas, the 9th of Rain's Hand. In the eyes of the law of Wayrest, you are a common citizen. You have been poisoned. So cure poison is what I need. That's a tough distinction, environmental versus mechanical. It is. The line is very blurred. Because one might say that the environment lends to the mechanics. Which is, it's true, but there are some differences. I was thinking the Shadow of Mordor game and its sequel Shadow of War, which was the ranger named Talion being fused with Celebrimbor's soul and using his ghostly powers for your advantage. You know what? Those games, that's a good shout. That is a very good shout. Because frankly, without the Wraith mechanic, there's really no story to that game. So 100%. To Okrithi. All right. FYI, poisoning will instantly diagnose. Only diseases have the Okay, gotcha. Kat, welcome in. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday. Alright, in we go. I think this is the right way. Yes. Here's your 690 gold, Syvaris. Did you attempt to use the painting? No. Should I have? Excellent. Its properties are inappropriate for those not of royal blood. You have shown yourself to be not only loyal, but also obedient. Cooking breakfast at the moment and wishing it was still the weekend. That is completely fair. That is completely fair. Whereabouts do you hail from, Kat? I'm assuming since breakfast is being made, Australia. That would be my inference. Check the okay. I am curious actually, so let's do this. Alright, let's go here. Where's the painting? The scene in the painting shifts and twists. You can clearly see the inside of a tent. Several men in the livery of Wayrest are intensely debating with a man bearing the coat of arms of Daggerfall. One of the Wayrest men slips behind the Daggerfall man and draws a dagger, and casually slides it between his ribs. The image fades as the life ebbs from his body. Oh, jeez, Kat, that's right, you said that in the past. Pardon me for not remembering. Pardon me for not remembering. I try to have a good memory when it comes to these things. I'm assuming we can lie, but I'm curious. You presume much, Cyvarus II. What you saw is not for prying eyes of the masses. It concerns matters of royalty, and will be dealt with by royalty. Okay. So, we're gonna redo this. And we're going to lie. We are playing Daggerfall, Cat. So this is the second game in the Elder Scrolls franchise, and it is my second favorite of the franchise. It's very different from any other Elder Scrolls game, but it's very, very good. Which Venom did you watch, Necro? Which Venom was it? Was it the new, like the most contemporary one, or was it the first? Oh, it was the first, okay. I was gonna say, as you get later in the franchise, it gets a little weaker. I don't want to spoil the story, but that's my stance. Okay, now we're gonna lie to her and see if there's any difference. Excellent. That is what I'm gonna do. Having read the painting. And then I lie to the queen. Saw the Marvel marks, but there were some good laughs. Wish they didn't push the change from WTF is going on with me to I am Venom and accept this. Yeah. I would concur. I would concur. What did you think of, what do you think of Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I get that he's doing his best. He's a great actor. He's doing the best he can, but he doesn't scream Eddie Brock to me. At least Eddie Brock from the comic books. It was way too fast, as all Marvel movies are. He was not a solid fit, but he was good about 60%. Yeah. I have a somewhat complicated mission that needs a fourth man involved. It might take a couple of days to accomplish, but it will mean an extra 931 gold in your pocket. Sound intriguing? I have a contact in the Lucky Helm Inn who has a certain item needed by another associate of mine. Gishaha Gora, of course. Carp, my contact in the Lucky Helm Inn, needs to be paid for his item. This is why I need you to bring this diamond as payment to Carp. This diamond needs to be in his possession in 24 days. Once you have made it to Gerkov residence, Carp will give you further instructions. Thank you, Cyvarus. And RK be with you. You know who, You know who would have been a better fit? The guy who played Jason Statham. I meant Jason Statham. Not that he's doing his best, like a kid bad at sports, but determined. Alright, time to say hello to Carp. Whoever you are. The guy who played Jason Statham. Okay. Let's see now. Shall head to my active quests and Medora's given me powder that will soothe the spirit of Lysandus. Okay, yeah, we're all good. Queen Okrithi, there we go. Lucky Helm Inn. Okay. Lucky Helm Inn. Begin! And we shall find the Garecroft residence. There it is. And then I think I'm going to meet Helseth. There you are, cop. Thank RK you've arrived, Cyvaris. Give me the diamond, quickly. Now, take this flail and bring it to Slefa, over in the Greenford residence. That is Geisha Gora. That is in Geisha Gora. Once you're there, she will pay you. Geisha Gora.
The road is long and troubled, and we need to ride away. So now
Chat,
we
you know what to
mount
do.
our mighty steed to gallop down the way. With strength and fervor present is made flowing in the wind. Cerberus climbs atop him, a new journey now begins.
Well, we have to get on the horse now.
Cranberry, the greatest horse you'll ever see, galloping with speed and might.
Okay,
now
so the
sing
Greenford
along with
residence
great
is what we're
delight.
going for.
Yambate Cranberry, clippity, cloppity, clip. Yambate Cranberry leads us on this trip.
Fighters Guild. This is a bit of a larger settlement. Adventurous wares. This is quite the large settlement. This is going... Oh. There it is. Oh, hello. Not you. Slefa. Hello. Ah, the flail. I was afraid it would never arrive. Well, here's your 931 gold as promised. Tell Carp I'm in his debt. And thank you as well. Okay, let's go to Wayrest. Speaking of Carp, can't wait until you meet his cousin, Fart. Yes, that's an actual name. The name generic. Oh my god. That is wondrous. A young courier dryly hands you a letter and then stalks off without saying a word. Queen Ocrithi of Sentinels spoke highly of you as a brave, able, and unprejudiced high elf. Her actual words were a hero for some time. We have been looking for someone like that. I will not lie to you about our loyalties. We serve the Underking. If you are a believer in fairy tales and consider the Underking the ultimate force of evil, we apologize for misjudging you. Otherwise, we need your help. You can find me at the Wicking Residence in the Restless Monk Tavern in Sentinel. I will wait 1 month. Starting to feel a little bit rushed, chat. Also, I have this bad habit of whenever Dragon mentions something, it's either already happened to me or the light bulb has gone off. Great minds think alike. Castaway Rest. Make our way over this way. So, question for you guys, the Daggerfall aficionados in particular. If Daggerfall was to receive a remake, full-blown remake, what are some of the things that you would like to see preserved from the original game? Now, actually, one moment. I think Helseth wants to meet me somewhere else. Prince Helseth wants me to meet him tomorrow at the castle. For details on the quest, I will be acting as courier. Okay. The Prostitute Guild. Duh. Ah. Hello again, Cyvaris. Here's the letter. It is to be given to Lord Castellan, the head of the Elder Council, who is currently at his house, the Yomford residence in Ashing Hall. I need the letter delivered, and you back here in no less than 6 days. That is essential. Like I mentioned before, Lord Castellan values his privacy to an excess. Be prepared for some resistance at your arrival on Yomford residence. I would ask that you not read the letter, as it is private correspondence. If word of its contents gets out, I will blame you. Oh, no, Quinn. Oh, we might get a twofer, chat. We might get a twofer. One moment. Hey? You guys got a twofer. Hello, Toby. He's like, I got a treat. I'm gone. Okay, you get one more spin. There you go. Best redeem ever. I'm glad you guys like it, actually. So, K-Solo, I was going to talk to you about that. That's not going to be a thing. That's not going to be a thing. It's... The channel redeems are focused on the community, and no particular member is going to get preferential treatment. You are my brother, IRL, but I don't want anybody getting particularly preferential treatment. Everybody's equal in this community. So I understand that you think the Yam Bam song is cool and you would like a song for yourself as a chat redeem unique to you. I get it, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not going to be doing that for the reasons I listed. How do you get channel points to change the scene like that? I'm trying to set up a cat cam on my own stream and I'd love to implement that. So I use StreamerBot, and basically what I did is I got a second camera, and so I'm just gonna put a cap right on that dragon. We're putting a cap on that. It's all good. It's dealt with. It's fine. So you get a second camera, and then you essentially set up a channel reward trigger on StreamerBot. I'm not sure you can do this on other bots. I'm not completely sure that can happen. So yeah, anyways, StreamerBot would be my recommended bot to do this. I wouldn't use, I don't know this for a fact, but I wouldn't use Nightbot or Stream Elements or anything, or Owned, anything like that. I don't think they have the capability to do this. StreamerBot, you just set up a trigger for your channel reward. You set up your channel reward on Twitch, and that way you can just link the two, and then in your sub actions, you're able to link the camera and everything on OBS. It's a little bit more involved than that. I can do a quick tutorial for you if you would really like, but that's, yeah. All right. Off for the quest. Alright, now I forgot the name of the place. Leader, Castle Wayrest, Holy Manor, Yomford Residence in Ashinghall. Yeah, and StreamerBot is not easy, but once you get used to it, it's kind of like playing Daggerfall, if I'm being completely honest. There's a moment where you just have a, aha, that's how that works. And then it's easy as pie. But when you first take a look at it, it's incredibly daunting because all the other bots, like Stream Elements and everything, they do the work for you. They don't make you arrange anything yourself, really. Streamer.bot is a lot different in that regard, but again, once you have that aha moment, best bot in the game. Best bot in the game. So, I'm just curious. I'm doing it for shits and gigs. Helseth is a character that I'm fascinated from Morrowind fame, so I would like to, yeah, I would like to just investigate him during the time of Daggerfall. Ashinghall. Right. Masterford Residence. Helseth in Morrowind is a bad guy for the sake of being bad, more or less. And he's some nepo baby in Daggerfall. The dude can't win. Yomford Residence, there we are. Actually, I'm going to be a bit nosy again. You are not the one.
Is this how you honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned?
Crows, welcome in. Thank you so much for the 4 months. 4 months. Thank you very much, my friend. Hope you're doing well today. My dear Lord Castellan, forgive this rough delivery, but it would have been impolitic to approach you at the palace with this potential problem. Unfortunately, your much-deserved vacation will have to be temporarily suspended until this matter is settled. I refer to your sister, Lady Pacifier. Lady Pacifier. For years, she has been one of the most glamorous figures at the Wayrest court, the darling of all who appreciate beauty and grace. Rather recently, rumors have circulated that the gold she has spent on her gowns and jewels will not have possibly come from her could not have possibly come from her husband, who is at present impecunious. Distasteful conjectures followed, none of which worth the ink I would use for the recitation. To be quite blunt, a person who must remain anonymous postulated to me that you were borrowing funds from the royal treasury to support your sister's extravagance. Of course, I defended your honor, but copies of the royal books were produced that seemed to support this allegation. I am thus uncertain of the best procedure to take next. Do not doubt, sir, that I am convinced of your integrity as senior member of the Elder Circle of Wayrest. I only wish for the matter of the financial records to be straightened, so if they are brought before Edware's attention, they can be confidently defended. Please send a reply with this trusted courier. I would prefer to meet with you as soon as possible, of course. Very truly yours, Helseth. I've been excavating my Christmas decorations from the attic. This letter has been opened. You exceeded the bounds of a courier, Severus II. I do. Santa Kirby is over here. Not during the gaming display, but when we're chatting, you can see Santa Kirby. Oh, shit. Come on. Word has not gotten out, don't worry. Right to the castle. Oh, am I a criminal? No. Fine. He knows too much! Kill him! Bro, I showed up at some dude's house and just blew people up. I did. I exploded people. Bween, welcome in. Hope you're having a good day. I might have to refresh the save if I'm going to be hunted like this. But what did I expect to happen? Let's see what Helseth's reaction is. Ah, I see. Alright. Well, let's load the game then. And let's not read. You wait while Lord Castellian reads the letter. His skin grows pale and his hand begins to shake. I see. Please wait while I pen a response to Prince Helseth. It only takes him a minute to write the response, which he then hands to you. I wish I could be a little bit more covert. That would have been nice. It's an day. I hope you're having a good day. I'm also having a bit of an day. I only slept 3 hours last night. And on top of that, some of my pestering health stuff is kind of popped up again, so it's been a bit of an day for me as well, but we're getting through it, and you guys are helping quite a bit. Thank you. I have a Mrs. Books. One moment. Oh, it's tofu. You do have some soft spots, but I'll cook it a bit more. Are they crispy enough for you? That's a no.
No, but they also like dry a bit.
Well, the moon and stars
Conan!
come to me through fire
Raiders,
and war.
welcome in. Welcome in, Raiders.
Come, Nerevar, come and look upon the heart, upon the heart.
Crows, I will get to your question of the day answer right after saying hello to our Raiders. Mods, could I get a shout out for Conan? Beautiful. Ooh, Pillars of Eternity. Pillars of Eternity. All right.
What a grand
Let's get a little more comfortable, shall we?
I'm a god. How can you kill a god? Shame on you, sweet Nerevar. I'm a god.
Right. Go drink a little water first.
I'm a god.
Raiders, welcome to the game library where we give a voice to the voiceless games. My name is Martin. I'm a variety streamer with a focus on story-driven games that are becoming obscured from the mainstream conversation around gaming. And the voice of those games is me. Generally, these games have little to no voice acting, so I do the voice acting myself, just to make the viewing experience a little bit more enjoyable for all of you. Conan, welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid, my friend. If you have to raid and run, guys, make sure to take care of yourselves first. Get your food, get your water, get your sleeps, whatever it is you need. I will be here. There's no need to stick around if you are tired. But with that said, if you are hanging out, we are playing some Elder Scrolls Chapter 2, Daggerfall. But Conan, let me know how Pillars of Eternity was. I have not played much Pillars of Eternity 2. I've mostly played the first one. The stream has been going fantastic. The question of the day has actually been producing some very interesting answers from everyone, and I've been quite enjoying it. Now, speaking of question of the day answers, I'm going to read Crow's. Question of the day. I think this is more of a AAA issue. The one that one company gets successful and everyone tries to copy-paste the formula. They miss what made the original trendsetter so popular. I think this has always been the case though, Crows, and a lot of the stuff that we've been bringing up, that has been true. It's been true that developers have always rushed games to the public. Games have always been launched with some form of brokenness. Art style has always... I think quintessentially what the difference is the artistry behind games is kind of losing to this kind of release protocol that we have now. Whereas prior, it didn't. But games were also much easier to make back then. But it's all subjective, really. Because was it easier for them to make a game with the technology of the time? I don't think the games themselves are soulless. I think the corporations and the fact that consumers in general are harder to please. Are we, though? I don't know if we are harder to please. There's a chance we are. I will accept that there's a chance that we are harder to please because we now have context. We now have an industry that has been making games and has now outpaced all other forms of media. So because we have this knowing, we have this overwhelming context within our mind, it's made us pickier. There was a novelty to, say, when Daggerfall first came out, 1996. When Daggerfall first came out, all people could do was just be in awe. There was really nothing else to do. It was insane that something the scale of Daggerfall was even possible. So now, it's par for the course. Now, we're just expecting a lot of these things to just be given to us, and if we don't get those things, then it's trash, and we throw it in the bin. Plotty. The circles I run in, not usually that hard to please, but take the latest Pokemon game, for example. People are calling it a trash game because the graphics aren't run in Unreal Engine 5 or whatever. Pokemon is kind of an interesting microcosm in this conversation because I don't think that Pokemon needs or should have insanely realistic graphics. Frankly speaking, I think Pokemon is just fine with, like, simple, chibi-style graphics. Really, it's the Pokemon designs people care about. As long as the Pokemon look cool, nobody gives a shit. Also, social media has led to more homogenization. Anything outside the norm gets punished. I will agree with that in the sense of individual echo chambers. In general, no. But per community, yes. So, for example, if I ended up becoming some hoity-toity, very famous content creator and people trusted my opinion on quite literally everything, because you tend to see that with content creators, guys like Josh Strife. If he says it's trash, you believe him. And then you omit the experience because your favorite creator said it's garbo. So, within those echo chambers, I would say that yes, there is a homogenization around singular figures with powerful personalities within communities. And this is why I, in my channel, focus so much on nuance, and I invite things that we disagree on fundamentally so that we can have conversations. I do not want homogeneity in this community other than the unified purpose of giving a voice to the voiceless games. I want us to agree on that. But then everything else, we can have conversations and we can disagree on things. I think that is incredibly important. It's incredibly important to me that we are able to do that as a community. Oh yeah, they blew they blew the hell up. Now there's a bunch of Bellatero-like or risky roguelike spawned from it. Yeah, it's probably the case. It's probably been the case always. A game breaks out, imitators, inspired devs want to do their own take on it, follow the leader. Yeah. Nuance is very important in discussion in both games and lore, in my opinion. Sometimes point X is something else from point Y, especially in a lore aspect. Well, and this is the thing about art. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I might read something in the lore, and it is in my reading that I gain my perspective. And that might not at all be what the developers originally intended. So you then have this interesting situation of, you've got this perspective, I've got this perspective, we're talking about the same thing. And that is why I say nuance is important, because there's a beauty to be had in the conversation of each of our perspectives when we consume these things. And that's why I don't want an echo chamber. That's why I don't want my opinion to be king in this community. I want to be able, I want to be proven wrong every now and again. How much beauty is in the eye of this beholder? All right, let's hop back into the game and continue this conversation, guys. Especially Obsidian titles, there's a very gray area that leads to multiple perspectives. Hell, notice 2 lore discussions of it, and it was wonderful to read up on them. Well, and here's the thing. You've got multiple, pardon me, I slapped my mouse. You've got multiple lore perspectives, but on top of that, you've got multiple endings. I'm gonna be heading off to bed here. I wish you luck for the rest of the stream, and when you can check your D. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dragon. I appreciate you for being here. Chat, could we get some good nights for Dragon? No, nothing of it, Dragon. I do not want that. I appreciate it, and I'm sure K-Solo appreciates it. I'm not even sure if he's in chat still, but irregardless, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, off to Helseth. Or as Dragon likes to call him, Nepo Baby. Necro, careful, careful, careful. Helseth is over here. So, question for you guys. What do you guys think about the optimization of games? Because I talked about the flaws of games kind of endearing the player to the games. But no, Helseth is the son of Queen Baranzaya and King Edwer of Wayrest in High Rock. And in Morrowind, Helseth and Baranzaya move to Mournhold to wrest power from House Lalu, and they succeed. So, optimization is something that has produced a lot of good within the gaming industry, but I'm also feeling like games need to lean into their flaws more, I feel. Because it is the flaws of these games that can endear a player to the mechanics of a particular game. So I'm interested in particular in your thoughts on that, guys. Well done, Cyvarus II. Your budding reputation appears to be deserved. Lord Castellian is quite pliable now. Anyway, here is the staff I promised. Never let it be said that Prince Helseth is not a man of his bond. Oh yes, I promised to tell you something of my situation in Daggerfall. I suspect my family has more to do with it than is commonly known. We sent advisors to urge King Lysandus and King Cameron to mend their differences on the eve of battle of Cregane Field. Lysandus was disgustingly loyal to the Emperor, where Cameron was fighting for more autonomy. According to the advisor's report, they arrived too late because they were waylaid by the orcs of Gortwag en route. However, I've heard stories that at least some of our advisors arrived at Lysandus' tent and spoke to him briefly. At this time, I cannot say more. If I receive more information or if the situation progresses, I will certainly send you word. I'm curious what you mean more specifically by leaning into flaws. Okay. I'll read some more chat and then I'll expound upon that for you, jerk-ops. I can agree with that, as long as it's something I can solve, like a puzzle, and not just impossible, that I can deal with bad mechanics, even enjoy them. It depends on what I want in regards to older games. Do I want an authentic experience, or do I want a classic but playable in 2025 version? So Jerkops has an interesting question. What do I mean when I say flaws? And I think I mean, the easiest thing to do is to provide an example. And hindsight is 2020 before I get into this. So what we now today consider a flaw. Because when a game is in development, perhaps there's a mechanic being introduced, and I have to imagine that the developer sees this mechanic and they say, yeah, that one's going to get the player's goat. That one is definitely going to frustrate the player. An example I would cite is Ashley in Resident Evil 4, the original version. There's a lot of friction with her mechanics, and while she is as polished as I think they could get her, she is a flawed mechanic within the game. So I think that the developers had to have known this. And it is because they polished Ashley's mechanic as much as they could that I believe they did know this. But the fact it still ended up being flawed is kind of my point. Same thing with Daggerfall, right? You have aspects of this game, like the procedurally generated world, the sheer scope of the game. Julian LeFay has gone on record saying it was too much, and we knew it. And they still published it, and it is a flawed experience, but they leaned into the flaws of this experience, and it created a very charismatic game. It's interesting to think what is considered a flaw. Like, if you know Demon's Souls compared to Dark Souls, Demon's Souls operates on a strict system of no mid-level checkpoints or Dark Souls bonfires, and it has consumable heals instead of Dark Souls 1's replenishing Estus. Souls players were like, nah, this is an objective flaw, and they should have made it like Dark Souls in the remake, rather than seeing it as a case of deliberate design. Yeah. But, again, you're speaking to deliberate design, so, and it's interesting to say, right? Flaw is within the eye of the beholder. GPT on YouTube, welcome in. Sorry I did miss your message, about 5 minutes removed. Hi. Soulless games are simply because every art is done with the heart and rich old CEOs don't have hearts. That is a hot take. That is definitely a hot take. I think they do. And I think that every human being is trying to do their best. There are evil people. There are. But I would say the vast majority of people are not evil. And To say that a CEO is simply an evil figurine, I don't think that's true. I think that all human beings are doing the best that they can with the tools that they have, and that these individuals, I have to put myself in their shoes. If I felt answerable to shareholders, and there was an economy of money on the line, I would feel an enormous amount of pressure. And I would make choices that are probably wrong, because I'm only human. So, I do try to have understanding for both sides of this argument, the consumer side and the development/production side of the equation. There are aspects to either that I'm frustrated with, but it's par for the course, right? Because I'm not making these decisions. We're just talking about it. Well, I'm getting a bit tired myself, and I will retire for the evening. Chat, could we get some good nights for Necrovarius? Necro, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for hanging out and engaging with the chat tonight. I appreciate you immensely, my friend. We will see you on the next one. And we will not be going for too much longer as well. We've got about 45 minutes left on the clock, I would say. I do it for the love of the game. Alright, I wonder if Queen... Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, chat. Let's look at our quests quickly. Medora's told me it will take her a month to prepare the dust. When time has passed, I should visit her again in Dureni Tower. Okay, so we have that. So we have Lady Brisenia. Right. Let's do some more chatting with perhaps Queen Baronzaya. No, you have nothing to say. King Edward has nothing. Okay, Morgaya has nothing. Have you noticed the pretty blonde with the crown standing in the sideline by any chance? I have. Princess Elisana. Ooh, okay. Hello, Syvaris. I'm Elisana, King Edward's child, and heir apparent to Wayrest. Perhaps you could help me out of a bit of embarrassing predicament. The senior member of the Elder Council, my father's good friend, Lord Castellian, has left court on holiday, and I forgot to return a cloak I borrowed from him. If it isn't too much of a bore to you, would you mind bringing it to him in Mastering Manor? I could offer you a lovely mark as payment. B-Tech, welcome in. Just as I thought I was modless, yet another mod arrives. Dark Souls example, I'm not saying one example side conversion is wrong. The other is right, but I think it is an example of some good people thinking it was a flaw and it needs to be erased, rather than a mechanic chosen by the devs to achieve a certain experience. Yeah, that is fair. How frightfully nice of you to help a silly girl like myself. Here's the rope. Now, it's very important that my Lord Castellian has the robe soon. He is at one of his houses, the Buckingwyn residence at Mastering Manor. Lord Castellian shouldn't be too hard to find. Just ask for him, or for Buckingwyn residence, and give him the robe. I do really hope he appreciates this. Syvaris, it really shouldn't take you longer than 11 days to get to Mastering Manor and back, so I will see you then. There is Gray's Law. Any sufficiently advanced incompetence is indistinguishable from malice. So should we give grace to those who have sufficiently advanced in competence, or should we treat them as though they have malice? That would be my response to Gray's Law. Should we treat them as though they are malicious? Or should we give grace? Personally, I'm inclined to grace. But that is me. I know not everybody is. Mastering manner, okay. This is Helseth's famous stepsister I'd mentioned last stream. Ah, right there. Dun, 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 dun. Lord Castellian, we meet again. I'm inclined to grace as long as the person is actively trying to educate and better themselves. My grace has a time limit, and though it is much longer than what most would consider, it is timed. Yeah, everybody has a fuse. Everybody has a fuse. It's just a matter of how much. No, GPT, in Daggerfall, a mark is simply a magic item. A mark is simply a magical item. The Daedra were still being fleshed out within the Elder Scrolls as of Daggerfall. A gift from Lady Acelia. Thank you, Cyvarus II. It fits me like a glove. You feel a tearing sound as if the fabric of reality were being ripped open. Huh? Lord Castellian! Have you seen my lord? Oh, I heard a... Oh, hello! What the shit is... No! I just missed a bunch of dialogue. Whoa, Nelly! So anyways, I started blasting. We have a Daedra Seducer that is dead. Many Daedra Seducers that are dead. Now this is an interesting plot twist, guys. Very interesting indeed. Personally, as a member of various minorities, I am disinclined to give the benefit of the doubt, regardless of intentions. If harm is caused, then grace is far gone. Oh. I must have been poisoned. I must have been poisoned. So, I would say this. And this is not to convince you otherwise, crows, but I would say that what does someone who, if harm is caused, and it is, say, unintentional, there's an opportunity for education. If you raise ire in that situation, I would say that you have lost a chance to save someone. So, I'm not saying you're wrong in your perspective, but I'm challenging your perspective slightly. Now, there are many people who are tired and disinclined, as you say, but even so, I would like to challenge you all to measure the person, and if they are found wanting, find out why. That's effort, though. That takes effort. But it's not about them, it's about you. And I feel better at the end of the day when I know that I give grace no matter what. And as Plotty says, I have a fuse. It takes a very long time to get to the end of my fuse, but I do have a fuse. I think in general, I would say developers should lean into keep their vision about the flaws, like Ashley's health in RE4 or Kingdom Come Deliverance save system, especially when removing them would also remove character from those games. True, absolutely. Right, let's find out what's going on here. I'm very sorry you had that experience, Crows. I'm very sorry you had that experience. As someone who grew up in a household that had that particular affliction, I do understand. I do understand. But I would also say that your experiences are your experiences. I will not take that away. But again, this is not about the others. You can't do anything necessarily about them. You can just be the best you can be, which I'm confident you are. And I feel that by being the most authentic and best version of yourself in the world and giving grace, that you do affect others within your proximity. There's a saying that you are the 5 people you spend the most time with. That is also true of the people who spend time with you. You do affect those people. So, again, I'm not saying that there should never be a situation where ire should be raised. I'm just saying that we must be measured when we raise our ire. That is all. That is all. Okay, straight ahead for Castle Wayrest. Straight ahead. Almost there. So I'm actually very fascinated with this quest now. Why did Lord Castellian combust spontaneously? Wait, you can parkour with a horse? Oh, absolutely. Oh, Conan. Conan. No, I have to show you this. I have to show you this. You can't just parkour. You can fly. You might have seen a housefly. You might have even seen a superfly. But I bet you ain't never seen a donkey fly. Daggerfall is amazing. Oh, no, Crows, not at all. Not at all. No, I was simply challenging your personal perspective. No, that's it. Okay, this moves up in my backlog. Yep. Welcome to Daggerfall, where I possess a pocket Pegasus. Oh, how marvelous you are. Here, let me give you the mark I promised you. I hope Lord Castellian appreciates the extra work I put into the robe. It is a real attention-getter now. Let me give you something more than the mark, Cybaris. My father is very interested in a certain ancient relic called the Totem of Tiber Septim. He has spies all over the place looking for it. When they find it, my father will need someone to secure it. Obviously, whoever he chooses will be fabulously well rewarded. I'll give him your name. That is the least I can do. Pebbles and Roach got nothing on Pocket Pegasus. His name is Yam Bam St. Cranberry. And he is the bestest hoss. Right, might as well save our game. So, I guess Lord Castellian... Helseth wanted Lord Castellian in his pocket, and the princess dissented. How interesting. Okay, let's go to Sentinel. So, chat, you'll notice the political intrigue is beginning to thicken in this situation. So, Wayrest and Sentinel and Daggerfall are now becoming more overt in their attempts to woo me to their camp. I am now becoming a figure of repute within the region, and they want me on their side. I like how Elisana basically just gave you her kerchief. It's not even enchanted. Yeah, just like... Here you are. Are all the dots on the maps villages and towns? Yes. So, you've got the region, right? So, you got the entirety of the Iliac Bay. So this is not just High Rock, the land of the Bretons. This is a part of High Rock right here. All this is part of High Rock, and then you start getting into Hammerfell, which is the region of the Red Guards. So, in each provincial region of High Rock, of Iliac Bay, you have dungeons, you have temples, you have homes, and you have towns. Daggerfall has 750,000 non-player characters within the game. Not all of them story relevant, most of them not story relevant. And then you also have a landmass that is the size of real-world Great Britain. That is what is on offer in Daggerfall. Now, one might argue, well, there's nothing in it. Well, lucky for you, bucko, Daggerfall Unity exists, so now there's something in it. Daggerfall is incredible. Now, what do I want to do? We need to go to Sentinel. Now, I will say this. I would like... Oh, shit. Fuck. I might have just fucked something up. Let's check my inventory. Dear Cyvaris II, my beloved son has brought your name to my attention and suggested that we might have some business to discuss. I understand that we have a mutual interest. Please visit me at my castle Wayrest at your earliest possible convenience. I have to backtrack, chat. I do have to backtrack. The King of Worms beckoned me, and I need to read his letter again. We serve the Underking. If you are a believer in fairy tales, lose our number, okay? Otherwise, we need your help. You can find me at Wicking Residence in the Restless Monk Tavern. I will wait 1 month. Okay, so now we are starting to have to make choices. This is going to get very extreme very quickly. So, the way you can conceptualize the political factions within Daggerfall are thus. You have Wayrest, you have Sentinel, you have Daggerfall, and then you have the Underking. And then you have the Orcs. So you've got 5 factions that have interest in what is going to come about in the later portions of the story, which was alluded to by Princess Ilisana. That is a good idea, Dev. That was a good idea. So let's head outside. So, Isle of Bethany. Here we are. So the Isle of Bethany, right here, that is the size of the entire map of Skyrim. That is Skyrim. I've got all of this. Daggerfall is massive. I think to this day, probably one of the largest game worlds ever made. All of this fascinates me because I've never played these. All I know comes from lore books in Oblivion and Skyrim. So, if someone says I want to play OG Daggerfall, I say don't do it. If someone wants to play the Daggerfall Unity edition of Daggerfall, I say do it, and without reservation, get on it. There are so many mods for this game that keep the essence of what Daggerfall is, but just take away all of the rough edges of the game. It's truly incredible. No, K-Solo, no. You were all good. So, the reason Dragon reacted the way he did is because, frankly speaking, you're not on the Discord or anything like that, and you are my IRL brother, but you kind of just showed up to chat and said, make me a song, and use it as one of your channel redeems. So, he's a moderator. His interest is to protect the stream and the safety of this community. And you want to be a part of this community, but you don't know how all the time. And I understand that, but not everybody does. Not everybody understands that to most people, so to names like Dev and Crows, people who know you in the chat and know that you're my brother and know that you have autism, they understand that. They understand that you're trying to be a part of this community and you're unsure of what form that takes. But then there's other people who don't. And Dragon has to protect everyone in that community, and all the mods, for that matter, have to protect everyone in the community from so much as a misunderstanding. A wrong word can go down a complete slippery slope and completely degenerate the chat. So the moderators can be acutely sensitive to things. So anyways, there was no wrongdoing, and I don't want anyone to feel badly. I don't want anyone to feel badly. It's all good. So let it be written. So let it be done. Yep, exactly, Crows. Exactly. And I'm grateful that I even have mods. We have a very small but dedicated community, and I've seen other communities my size where the community members are not even willing to moderate. Moderation is a volunteer position, guys. It's hard. You have to commit to sit there for at least a portion of every single stream that your streamer is on. So I miss when you used to look to the left. Are you saying when I look to the left and I see YouTube chat? Okay, now... So that's Wayrest done. So now it's just Medora. We haven't been to Daggerfall in quite some time, but I think I still want to go to Sentinel. And I don't want to do the Underking. I don't want to do that questline, so I'm completely fine with that quest going lapse. Okay, so that is Queen Baron's Eye's letter. I'm a mod in another stream. I'm a mod in another stream, and I treat it like an IRL job. I have to be at place, at hour, and I will not tolerate BS. Ah! Okay, so I have to go there. Shit. Alright, well, at least I did a divergent save. So, that's interesting. So the letter I received from the Underking is mandatory. Okay. Favorite noble in the game so far, other than Lotun, too easy. Yeah, Lotun would be my first one. But if I didn't have to do Lotun, I would say noble. I would say I got quite a kick out of Princess Elisana's antics. The other, I know she's a psycho, clearly, but I did find that quite humorous, so. I have the benefit of living with the streamer I mod for, and I still struggle sometimes with if I'm doing a good job or not, and he's right next to me when I'm modding. Well, and see, this is the thing, right? There's rules, and really, your job is to just enforce those rules and to be a paragon. So what people see you do as a moderator is what is acceptable in chat. That's a good way to conceptualize it. If the moderator says X, that is acceptable for everyone in the chat. Because you have the green sword. You have the green sword, which means I trust you. So if you say some things that are off-color, for example, then that reflects on the community. So if you have a green sword, that means the streamer trusts you. So Plotty, I would look at it this way, and Crows, I would look at it this way. You are trusted implicitly to be not only a line of defense for a stream, you are, as Dev says, the arbiter and the paradigm of chat. You set baseline. You are baseline. And that's not a stressful thing. that should be... You should be happy of that in your given communities because you're trusted. You're trusted with a position of importance. I don't think there's any greater thing that a streamer could do than trust a moderator. I don't. Blocking, timing out people is such power. You're right, being trusted to make those calls is a big part of... Yeah, exactly. It means I trust your judgment.
Hello there.
Hello there, Avalon, welcome in. I hope that you are well, my friend. I'm about as sharp as a bowling ball right now, but I am gonna try and stay for the rest of the stream. Dragon, if you do have to get some rest, please do so. It's okay. We've only got 15 minutes left. So if you do have to get some sleep, I'm sure that I can take care of things from here. Hey, I'm late, but I'm here. That is the goal. Avalon, I appreciate everything that you do, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Now, let's think about this for a second. I need to read that letter. Okay. Restless Mug Tavern in Sentinel. Wicking residents of the Restless Mug Tavern in Sentinel. I will wait 1 month. Okay, Restless. So I was going to the right province. Restless Mug Tavern. Begin! I came back because I didn't want you to go too far without knowing the Underking quest is required. In terms of the story, the Underking is basically holding the information of Lysandus' tomb above your head and won't tell you until you do his bidding. Gotcha. The Wicking Residence.
How am I supposed to eat this pizza without
Starmark,
my drink?
welcome in. I hope you're having a good day. Cheers to you. Thank you for the hydrate. I very much appreciate it. I'm okay. I'm okay. Some of my GI health stuff has kind of flared up again. I was very ill today. And I only slept 3 hours this previous night as a result of not feeling very well. So I didn't want to cancel the stream because I've been canceling so much. And frankly speaking, every single time that I push through and I stream and I hang out with you guys, I feel better. You guys honestly fire me up so much. This community makes me feel such passion that I can't help but push through. So I don't want you guys thinking that I'm not caring for myself. That's not true. But yeah, today was a little bit of suckage. I will not lie. I will not tell an untruth. Good day, Saivaris. My name is Tutti. I must admit that I'm surprised to see you. Are you perhaps able to help the Underking in an endeavor against the necromancers? We will reward you liberally for this service and provide information you will probably not be able to find elsewhere. Do I have a choice? You will. Remarkable. The necromancers have taken an item of ours, a long shirt of some value. The value is of secondary concern. The true problem is that they cursed this item and gave it to the Blades. If you are unaware, the Blades were once the honor guard for Tiber Septim, They are loyal to the Emperor and Tiber's code, but not always to the current Emperor. The Underking has reason to not wish harm upon the Blades. We want you to infiltrate Castle Lugwich in Yaklon and remove the long shirt. Please have this done in 323 days if you want your information and reward. I did not say that, so... Oh, I will stretch though, because Conan told me to stretch. Whew. Oh yeah. That is the only viable stretch redeem. That is the only viable stretch redeem. Alright, save game. Maybe it was Syvarus doing his thing. Alright. Now. Castle Lugwich in Yaklon. There we are. Okay, now. Jet, welcome in. I hope you're having a good day, my friend. Okay, now I need... Castle Lugwich. Do you wish to travel to Castle Lugwich? Yes, I do. Travel time, 33. Begin! Now that looks like a castle. Finally. So we will save there, and I think that is a good spot to end for the evening. As I mentioned, I did only sleep 3 hours last night, so I am a very, very tired boy, and I would like to get some sleep. We are almost at the 4-hour mark, so I almost made it through the entire thing, and frankly speaking, as I jibber-jabber with you, we're getting ever closer to the 4-hour mark, so I think we're good. I think we're good. So, with that said, my friends, our time in the game library has once again drawn to a close. I would just like to thank everybody who has contributed to the stream today. We had some very, very stimulating conversation that I'm very grateful for. The question of the day went very well today, and I'm gratified that a lot of you guys got a lot out of it, so I appreciate that. If any of you guys lurking in the shadows have not yet followed or subscribed or whatever the hell the free option is called, head over to the Beacons page or hit that follow and subscribe button, as it really does help the channel out. For my friends on the YouTube stream, if you could drop a little likey-like, that helps massively. I am trying to get monetized on the YouTube platform right now, and likes to the videos, that really spreads the word. A like on a video tells others that you enjoy my content. It's a show of high confidence. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it is. So for anybody who has followed, subscribed, liked, shared, whatever. It is massively, massively helpful to everything that I do on this channel. So, with that, my friends on YouTube, this is going to be the end of the stream for you, as I can't take you on the raid with our Twitch friends. And Twitch friends, let's go on a raid. So let's see who is on right now. So we do have Shadow Revan Knight streaming some retro. Luna Arcana is playing some Layers of Fear. Jake is playing some Demon's Souls again, but we've raided him a couple times recently, so I do want to share the love elsewhere. Master Max is streaming as well. Shibi is also streaming. Okay. So, chat, I'll put it to you this way. We have Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. We have Donkey Kong 64. We have Hollow Knight Silksong. We have Demon's Souls. We have Layers of Fear. Or we have Retro. I will leave it up to you. I haven't rated most of these people, so I'm okay with rating pretty much anyone. Although I did see Necro sharing some love, so maybe we should see if someone else is streaming. Oh no, we've raided Luna at least once. We have raided Luna once, but you're right, it's not terribly frequent. So let's see. Okay, yeah, Luna's playing. So Luna is more into horror games. She's a very, very good streamer, great to speak to, and she will make you think things about horror games, really introspect about the dynamic of fear in a way that is very, very unique, and I enjoy her company. So, let's get the raid started, my friends. First message is for you subbies, second follow is for you followers. Or second message is for you followers, pardon me. Okay, let's grab my message so I'm actually prepared for the raid for once. My friends, I must say, it has been the pleasure of a lifetime getting to stream to you all again this evening. I will be back on Friday for some more Elder Scrolls Chapter 3, Morrowind. But until then, I ask that you be well, and I'll see you on the next one.